Hey guys, today we will be doing a brief summary about Garfield. No, not that Garfield, this Garfield. So, James A. Garfield was born November 19th in 1839 in Ohio. So, James was one of the last so-called log cabin presidents, which simply means they were born in log cabins. So, James in his earlier years drove canal boat teams, and he was saving for an education. And by 1856, he had graduated from Williams College in Massachusetts, and he for law. And in 1858, he married his spouse, Lucretietta. And he had several children with her. And in 1859, he was elected to the Ohio Senate, and he was supporting the unification of America amidst the Civil War. And in 1862, he joined the war effort, and he led a brigade of Union soldiers against the Confederates. And also in 1862, Garfield was elected to Congress, and later in 1880, Garfield figured he would try his hand at the election as a Republican, and he won. He won by 10,000 popular votes. I'm not too sure on the electoral votes. And fun fact, a political opponent of Garfield once said that he had the backbone of an angleworm. And Garfield actually had some interesting ideas on the campaign trail, and he believed that education would make a bigger difference than a ballot box in the lives of African Americans. But unfortunately, only 4 months into his inauguration, a deranged lunatic by the name of Charles Guiteau went out and shot James A. Garfield twice. Once in the arm, and then he nailed him in the back near his spine. And so the reason why Charles did this is because he had written a small poem that he showed to like maybe 20 people at most in a pretty small area. But he was delusional, and he had visions from God telling him that he was the sole reason that James A. Garfield became president, and he believed that he deserved some kind of prize for it, and he wanted a consulship in Paris, and he didn't get it. So he went out and bought a pistol, and he shot him. And yeah. And after that, Garfield held on for roughly like 8 months, 80 days. And his vice president took on most of the roles of the president. And he was one of the presidents to have the shortest reign ever. Didn't even make it to the full year mark. And it's time for another fun fact. It is believed that Garfield could have actually survived with modern medicine quite easily, in fact. But since this was the 1800s, late 1800s, sterilization of medical tools wasn't common, and it wasn't really known about, so it didn't really happen. And Garfield could have been one of the greatest presidents ever. But modern medicine.